This is Rockin' Robert V. Kinte, and here you are with Tom and Zeus on the Shout It Out Loudcast.
And reports tonight on how destruction is impacting the campus community.
Names of O'Hara Hall, Skid Row, T-Zone, Banff.
Badass motherfuckers.
Soft, sit on my face.
Drinking like fucking ass pre-gaming, as we call it. What is this dorm damage bill on our tuition statement?
Dorm damage?
Well, we only broke like 3 chairs and 4 desks this month.
Is that a positive thing? Bam! That's right. We're back with another episode of Dorm Damage, the show where anything and everything is on the table and the table gets smashed. This week, it's episode 78. And sadly, it's another tribute episode, but we do enjoy these because we get to tell some stories about some of our favorite people. And this is absolutely a Shout It Out Loudcast legend here, Zeus. Who are we talking about this week?
We're talking about John Amos, probably known as one of the greatest TV dads of all time, who he portrayed
Indeed.
James Evans Sr. on Good Times. But that's not all that he's known for. Recently passed away. It was kind of strange because like he had died on August 21st at 84.
Yep.
But they didn't announce it until like this month, October. They said his daughter was unaware that he died until it was reported by the media.
Yeah, it was very strange. Very strange.
Heart failure. I mean, he's 84 years old. His background is amazing because I didn't realize he was like a professional football player. Now, looking at him, he don't look like he can't fight. He looks like he can whoop some ass. And no, I guess he was a football player, tried out and played for a bunch of teams in the AFL, the Broncos. Then he went to the UFL, all over the place.
Coach Hank Stram for the Chiefs had a great quote. He said, quote, "You're not a football player. You're a man who's trying to play football." But you're right. You look at James Evans, like you said, it doesn't look like he can't kick your ass.
Oh, yeah. So what's amazing about him, he's well known for Good Times, and we'll get all into that. Yeah. But when he was on Good Times, he was only 34 years old.
Can you imagine
Which is insane. And Jimmy Walker, known as JJ, was only like a few years younger to him. His wife was like almost 20 years older to him.
Yep.
Ooh. Got in trouble. I'll never forget that he got in trouble with the cast of Good Times because he went on Stern back then, and Stern told him that he had to be the greatest actor of all time because he had to look at Esther Roll and tell her she's beautiful. and he kind of giggled about it and stuff, and the cast got mad at him. But anyway, yeah, so he started in football, became into acting. Dude, I remember him on Sanford and Son, which came out before Good Times, and he's playing one of Fred's friends, and he's probably like early 30s, and he's pretending he's like in his 60s back then. I don't know, maybe because he was slightly balding, he played the older guys.
Now, this was before. I mean, this was before our time. I mean, we were like babies, children when Roots was on, but I was unaware that he had a main role in Roots. I mean, I know Roots. Everybody knows.
He didn't have a main role. He was the main role. He was Kunta Kinte.
That's what I mean. And that's
just the boy from Africa.
It's just shocking. You think how varied and like wide ranging the stuff that he could do was just incredible. And we haven't even
That's why it was funny. In Coming to America, when they kept saying, the boy from Africa, it's Kunta Kinte.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. We're just going to say it took us this long to get to arguably maybe not his best role, but him in Coming to America. I'm so happy. I feel like breakdancing. It's just,
and then they kicked the oblong ball into the Giants of New York. Son, if you want to work there, stay off the drugs. He was on the Mary Tyler Moore show. I never watched that show. It was before my time. I guess that's where he kind of got started. But like I said, he played a guy on Sanford and Son. That was 73. Then This is so amazing back then. All those fucking, what do you call it? Norman Lear shows. So
Yeah, they were
Maude is an offshoot of All in the Family.
Yep.
And then Florida played Maude's maid.
Yep.
Did you know that? I don't know if you followed that.
Oh no, I know. I remember all those. Yeah.
He was called Henry. He wasn't called James.
Oh, I don't
and he
remember
was
that.
married,
Okay.
and that's when they weren't living in Chicago. They were living wherever she was in New York.
Okay.
And then they're like, okay, let's make a family out of that. And they took it and just changed the family around a little bit and kind of took away the story that she was Maude's maid.
Yeah.
And then he became James Evans Sr. Let's talk about his TV roles first, and then we'll get into the movie roles. But James Evans, I mean, when they do greatest TV dads, I'm going to give you a little hint, everybody. He is the greatest TV dad of all time, in my opinion.
And I'll tell you this. I remember watching the show, and you can still see it now. I don't think I've ever seen a face, a man make a face that could be like a weapon in itself.
Oh my God.
I mean, just incredible. His presence was just insane on that
when
show.
He grabbed Michael's little friend, he's like, "Oh, you're spending the weekend here? That means I can whip you too." And he grabs him.
Yeah.
You could tell like he whipped some people before he beat up his kids.
I was gonna say, you could tell
The
like
nostrils would flare, his eyes.
Terrifying. Terrifying.
Shit.
Yep.
I've seen Good Times a million times, and then I'll catch them on YouTube, the little clips and the shorts and the reels, because I just love it. And then there were clips of him when JJ got shot and that guy Mad Dog came
unbelievable.
Up to him, and like, and first he's like, and he's yelling at James in Florida, and he puts his hand in his arm. And
I remember that.
James doesn't say anything. He just looks at him and he does his eyes. So you see with his hands, he goes, "Mad Dog, if you don't get your hand away from my wife right now, I'm going to put a muzzle on you." And you could tell, like, dude, I ain't fucking with that guy.
Well, you can almost tell. It's almost like, is he acting right now, or is he really going to kill this guy?
Oh my God. There are so many scenes where it looks like, or some guy was going to pay JJ because JJ painted something very ghetto-ish, apparently.
Yep.
And the guy's like, "I'm not paying for this shit." And he just steps up and he's like, chest is out. He's like, "You're going to pay me? Well, I'm going to shove you in the night deposit box." I'll never forget that. And I'm like,
God.
you can't fake that.
No,
like he was so good at doing that presence and just that. And there was one other one that I remember was some guy when Florida was working, like they went out to eat, and he came by and he gave her like a gift, like to say, because she had talked about something in a Cracker Jack. I forget what it was.
Yep.
And when she was a child, she loved it.
Yeah, I remember
and then
this.
He got it, and he came by the house again, and he's like, and the guy's like, "What the hell's this?" And he's just looking at the guy, and then too, it's like, "Oh, thank you for bringing." And he's just his eyes. If you just follow him,
brutal.
It's just amazing.
I remember that because the guy,
fuck the guy up.
The guy was just trying to be like a nice guy, do like a nice gesture.
And he went to a Japanese place when back then they used to be on the floor. He goes, "Oh, we had a great time once I got you when your wife got off on the floor." And he just looked like a madman. Like he was going to, "Somebody tell me what the hell's going on." He just looked like he was going to fuck somebody up. But there's one specific scene that I remember besides the Florida damn that everybody knows
when he died.
But there was one specific scene I remember where his father, he had told his family his father had died, and he came back. He was like on a ship, and he had abandoned his family after 35 years, and the daughter Thelma had found him, and he didn't want to see him, but he was like such a big guy, and he acted like a little boy that his father came home. And he was like, "I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him."
I remember that.
And then that one scene at the end, they reconcile a little, and he blows out his candle, and he says like he wished he had more time to be with his dad again, and he hugs him. Dude, every time I see that, I fucking bawl like a child.
No, dude, I know what you're talking about, but that right there, you just nailed down why he's the greatest TV dad, because he could scare the living piss out of you. But
he was all about his family.
So much emotion in everything he did, whether it was like threatening to kill JJ, or this scene with his father, or defending his wife and his family.
And
he was
they
the
were
greatest.
so happy about like, no. The show was going to be about what's her face and having these kids. And they're like, no. We're not going to show another single mom in the ghetto. No, we're going to show a proud dad. Like they tried to get out of the ghetto and he's working, he's struggling to do it. And I remember him like all these scenes where he'd be like not giving up. He keeps working. And he's like, you know how many times I could have just walked out on my family? He was such a great role model for everybody.
Yeah, he was the ultimate dad.
Oh my God. So he did that. Then the TV movie, obviously, Roots, we all know him from that as well. And then he did like the usual 70s and 80s stars, Love Boat themed, the A-Team and shit like that, cameos and shit.
Now you're a West Wing guy, correct?
I haven't got to that yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so then he gets into like the Cosby Show, Fresh Prince. He's done all that stuff. But when he starts coming on, he did 22 episodes of the West Wing. His character's name, Admiral Percy Fitzwallace. Fucking awesome. Such a badass. There are 3 specific scenes I remember him at. One was when they called him in, talked to him real quickly. He's busy walking through because all that show is always people walking by and talking and having these great monologues. And the guy, the chief of staff calls him in and to talk him, or was it Rob Lowe's character? I forget, but asked him about gays in the military. And he goes, you want my opinion? And they asked him and he just said something. And then the other one was like the president asked him, or was it the president or the chief of staff, that he was going to have Dule Hill, who's going to be like the president's personal assistant, but he's black. And he's like, is that a bad look? Because he's like waiting on the president. He's black. And they ask him his opinion. He gives such a great answer. And then the final one is it's all after 9/11. After
9/11. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a scene where they're talking about like, they have a terrorist and he's on a plane and they could kill him.
Yep.
And he has this one-on-one in the Situation Room with Leo McGarry, who's the chief of staff. And it's just such great talk. And he's like, I am like the Joint Chief of Staff. I guess if you ask every military man in the world right now, I'd be on one of those expert panels. If you ask anybody in the world. And he's like, I don't know when it's wartime and it's peacetime right now. I don't. So you give me a target. That's a target. I'm going to take it out. And it was just we can't talk like this. He's like, no. And he screams and he's banging his fist. Oh, it's fucking great acting at it. So he can do everything. Yeah, and that's just TV roles. And, you know, he continued to do cameos here and there right up until the end. I saw him they do this thing with Norman Lear shows where they have new character actors playing these old classic episodes from the classic TV shows like Good Times. They did one on the Jeffersons, All in the Family, where new actors played them. And they just do, I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's on ABC. They did an episode where they couldn't get their rent. And he came back and he actually was a surprise guest and he played Balderman Davis.
Yep. I remember that.
It was all live in front of an audience and he was like fumbling his line. He forgot. It was kind of like, ooh, but you know, whatever. But anyways, he's done a million things in TV. Let's get to his movie shit, but let's take a quick little break. All right, so we're back. We did his TV movies. Let's go to his actual movies now.
Yep. Yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is a movie that came out in 1973, a Disney movie, The World's Greatest Athlete. Do you remember this one, Zeus, with Jan Michael Vincent, Tim Conway, et cetera, et cetera? Yikes.
Dude, it was on cable all the time.
Yeah.
He's the worst. So they find the guy from Africa, and he's the greatest athlete, but he's a white guy.
Dude, it's unbelievable.
Of course, Disney made the white guy as the greatest athlete in Africa. They found him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Not good.
And then he was in those like blaxploitation movies.
Yep.
With Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier, Let's Do It Again, things like that.
It was Jimmy Walker was in it. Bill Cosby was in it. Yeah.
He was also in Sweetback's Badass Song.
And he was credited as Johnny Amos in that one.
Johnny always
says.
Yeah. I know he was in that. And then he was in another cable TV classic. Do you remember this one? 1982's The Beastmaster.
Yep. I remember that.
Remember that? What's his name? Mark
Singer. Mark Singer was the star of it. Yeah.
I was going to say Mark Slaughter.
And the funny thing about that was the guy that directed that, this is an inside nerd thing here. The guy that made the Beastmaster, Don Coscarelli, is the guy responsible for the Phantasm franchise, if you're a horror movie fan, which is fucking one of the great cheesy horror franchises ever. But yeah, the Beastmaster was a cable staple.
What did he do again?
So Phantasm, that franchise, it was the movie. If it has like the flying ball with the blade in it, it's got the tall man. And it's like boy, and it's got the big scary guy. And they made like 4 or 5 of them. The first 2 are actually really good, like cheesy, like late 70s horror movies.
Yeah.
And the guy that did that, Don Coscarelli was kind of like a cheesy kind of movie guy. He did the Beastmaster, which if you've seen it is awesome, but cheesy, of course.
I can only imagine what this is. Dance of the Dwarfs in 1983. He played the character Esteban. Superiams. And then he played Cleo McDowell in 1980's Coming to America.
Oh, God. It's again, just
they got the Big Mac, we got the Big Mick.
Just enjoying the range of his ability to just be. Again, he took that job in McDowell so seriously, but he was like so dorky and like so excited to be the
but
McDowell
he put out a
guy.
Little James Evans Sr. when the guy was taking photos. Hey, you outside when he like got that angry look on his face.
Yep.
When he thought the guy from McDonald's was McDonald's.
Yeah.
Now even I call it McDonald's. Was taking photos. Oh man,
so good, just fucking classic. It's right up there with this James Evans role. It's fucking legendary. And then after that, you remember the movie Lock-Up.
Yeah.
And he played Captain Meisner in that movie. Lock-Up is fucking awesome. One of Stallone's greats. You got Stallone, Donald Sutherland, John Amos. Oh, so good. So good.
And he was in Die Hard too. You remember that?
I played Major Grant. Yep.
Yeah, Ricochet. And then, he just bumbled around playing different stuff. He was in the Players Club, Dr. Doolittle 3, some Medea's movie.
He was also in Badasses on the Bayou.
As Earl, okay? And then the last thing I remember him is, Coming to America too.
Yeah, the sequel, yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same without him.
Oh, no, God, no. Yeah, and he was in something. He was in a thing in 2023. His last credited movie was called The Last Rifleman, was a British drama. And Pierce Brosnan was in that. I actually don't know anything about that. I didn't even know that existed. But anybody, people our age are obviously going to remember James Evans and Cleo McDowell and just a guy who every time he was on the screen, he just stole the show. He was fucking
absolutely. That's a great way of saying it, Tom. He stole every scene he was in. And I remember he used to have that laugh on Good Times. He'd go, and his wife would always mock him. And there was a great one episode where they went to a cabin or something, and Florida went to call the kids, and he got stuck there. And his friend that let him use the cabin's girlfriend showed up, and she was like this hot chick. And then one time she like bending over to get the fire going. He goes, it's just perfect. He is just so great. Well, rest in peace, John Amos, perhaps TV's greatest dad. I know we think so. Let us know what you guys think. Until next time, peace out, Girl Scout. Oh, you over here? Yeah, I'm over here now.
Zeus, it's me. I want to end the show now.
Jesus Christ, Tom. Jesus Christ. Let's end the show now while we got the muscle.